Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show, Beautifully Bruised in the CPS show. I am your host, Latrika Jones. I am so glad that you are joining us today. We definitely have some information that's worth your time, especially since it comes to your children and as well as your family. So I have some very guests on here today that have definitely been through the system with CPS, and unfortunately, not only been through, but they're still currently going through the process of CPS, and they are some true soldiers. When I tell you that, you will soon hear their story and hear why. I have to you know me, every time I start my show out, I always make it apparent to give credit to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I can assure you,
Amen.
when I went through my CPS case, God gave me the strength because like I was just sitting here speaking to Jennifer and Erica, who you're getting ready to meet. I kid you not, I felt so weak. And I'm like, Lord, do I have the strength to deal with CPS and all the things they take you through psychologically, mentally, emotionally, financially, physically? I mean, my God, it takes you through the whole shebang of life, ups and downs and highs and lows. But He gave me the strength. He gave me the grace. He gave me the mercy. And I realized that when He not only brought me out, He didn't just bring me out for me and my child. He brought me out for you, and you. And for everybody else that's coming along, that's going through the same thing, as a witness to show you that as long as you keep God first and you keep the necessary resources in your mind and your spirit and your health and your strength going, there is nothing impossible that God cannot do. So with that being said, I do have some more stories that God has also allowed me to connect with these ladies to come on and share what is going on. And these are real stories, everybody. People tell me sometimes, is this stuff really true? Yeah. This is not fake. This is not gimmicks. These are not jokes. These are real lives and testimonies of people that are right now dealing with CPS and their children being snatched, and they don't want to return them. So without any further ado, let me just dive right in because we have a lot to cover on today. As you can see, right now, we also have our returning guest, which will be Jennifer White. Hi, Jennifer. Oh my God, she brought in a plethora, so much information. I saw the engagement from different viewers are saying, wanting to know more about her, and because she bring on more information. So that is another reason why I thought it would be a great idea to bring Jennifer back so other people can know more about all the different services, everything that she done been through, so she can help you or get your children at least know what to do when you go in those courtrooms to fight for your children. Including, she is so helpful. She actually connected to another guest that's on our show today, and that is Erica Thomas. Erica is also, hi, Erica.
Hi.
Hi, she is another soldier out here fighting against CPS to get her kids back. And she has a great story that I do believe it is, my God, it is heart-wrenching to know that this has happened to her as well. So again, I want to dive right into the story, and we're going to go ahead. Like I said, we brought Jennifer back, and Jennifer definitely recommended to bring on Erica because her story is powerful as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Erica. Can you tell us where you're from, where you're located?
Yes, my name is Erica. Hi. I am from San Antonio, Texas. I was raised in Bernie, Texas, but I'm originally from San Antonio. And I'm also a mother of two. I grew up in the foster care system in San Antonio. And I got even a power story about San Antonio anyways, and we'll go into more depth when the time is coming to express more.
Okay.
But yeah, that's about me.
Okay, that sounds good. And I definitely want to know more about what you're saying about San Antonio. I love San Antonio. I took my son there for SeaWorld last summer, and we had a blast. So I love
There's
San
a lot of
Antonio.
things to do in San Antonio with kids.
It is really growing and building. I'm like, okay, you won't be bored, that's for sure. Okay, and also with Jennifer, I just want to definitely tell Jennifer again, thank you so much for being an active advocate out here fighting for these families to get their children back, Jennifer. You are such a blessing to so many. I really do see you as that. So you should feel really good about you taking on this mantle and fighting for these children and caring about these families being reunited back with their parents and their grandparents. You know, the case, so many different families are affected. So before we get any further, Jennifer, did you want to say anything before we get back into the story with Erica?
Well, yes, Erica and I met because the first day that we really started talking was the first day of my trial. And she went down to witness it at court and they wouldn't let her in after the judge had already said that she could come in. Now what Erica and I do, and I'm sure I'm just going to let her tell her story, but just a piece of the strength and inspiration from Erica is that she's going to paralegal school currently to help fix the system. So when we start helping other parents, she has helped me put together the documents that other parents, if their attorneys are not doing a good job or they are going pro se, they can submit these documents. But recently in one of my sponsees cases, we spoke to the attorney, her and I did, and the attorney, we asked for the drug test from prior to the removal hearing and then after, and CPS has not given them up. Her attorney emailed her client, my sponsee, and myself and asked us for the drug test. Not the caseworker, not the department's attorney, asked her and me. We were like, we just had this phone conversation with you. I had to respond to her and please check who you're emailing and forward this to the department and the department's attorney. And then I had to forward her documents that Erica had created for motions so that this attorney could review them and submit it so she could get the paperwork. I mean, it's really sad that the court is appointing attorneys that it appears don't know how to correctly send emails or file motions.
Right. And
Erica, I mean, like, that's the sad truth of it. CPS and the courts give you these attorneys and it's like, they don't care. Or some attorneys really genuinely do. I will say some attorneys genuinely do. But if you don't have legal knowledge or correct legal representation, it's up to shows like this, lawyers like Vince, people like Erica to help other people like actually know their rights. That's the beauty of shows like this, knowing your rights.
Absolutely, Jennifer. And I have a question for you. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And it's the beauty of what Erica does. Like, you know, I think I don't want to take all the credit, man, because I'm not a paralegal, and she really, like, her documents are beautiful.
Wow. And I think that is a beautiful thing because knowledge is power. So the more you know, the better it is, especially when you're dealing with a system that is very unpredictable. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, Jennifer, I want to ask you a quick question in reference to what you just said. Mm-hmm. And it's because it sounds like to me, and also my experience that I encountered years ago with CPS is that, do you really honestly think they want you to know what information that's available for you to win your child? Do you really think they're going to give you attorneys that's going to definitely defeat what they're trying to do with you and your children?
I think there are some court-appointed attorneys and some judges. I can't say all judges are bad and all court-appointed attorneys are bad, because I did have a judge that recognized that my court-appointed attorney was bad, and he told me, I'm not going to make you pay child support because you need to go hire an attorney. Do you see what's going on here? And he told me during that hearing, keep your mouth shut. You have no legal representation because your lawyer basically is not worth a poop. And so at that point in time, that's when I went and hired an attorney. And I do have faith and in the appeal that is currently filed. So I do think that attorney is also decent. But the attorney that wrote my appeal and hopefully wins was also the attorney that represented Erica. So we're tied in that way too.
Wow. So y'all like 360 coming, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all are glued, stuck like glue. And it's for a reason. And you're also using that to power couple and team up to fight a vicious system together. And anybody
not to mention Amanda Wellham, she has names. Oh.
Yes, please. We don't want to use names. So I understand it. You know, I get it. So, but yeah, but again, I just want to say too, so I love that.
A few months ago, I am correct, I went to her house and I contacted the same attorney that we had, and she responded. And I responded with my name. So she knows that we are tied together.
Wow.
and that we're speaking out
Wow.
against what they're doing.
Wow.
She now works for the DA's office in Hayes County.
Okay, with what you just said, I'm going to go into Erica's story. That is, listen. So she was representation, the attorney, and now she works for the DA's office.
Yes, she's no longer
An attorney.
she's an attorney for the DA's office now.
I'm sorry.
She has won several appeals. She has won several appeals. Her recent appeals have been really good.
Uh-huh.
And since she is now working at the DA's office, she's no longer actually the attorney on record for me. Her husband, who I've spoken to, and I have faith in him, and he said that he's with me, and he watched the show, and he's with me. So he said, I just gotta, have some faith that she did a good job on the appeal, and she has a good record. So just to, have some faith in her skills, which is what I'm holding on.
But you have to understand that it's sometimes hard to have that faith when you are already in the back of your mind, you already know the system is corrupted. Absolutely. So when someone tells me have a little faith in the system, why should I believe that when I've already know that they're corrupted?
Right. And that makes it even more complicated. Again,
which makes it more complicated.
Absolutely, it does, Erica. I mean, I think that's to me, that was the scary part about it. Because it's not like you're dealing with a specific blueprint or format. As long as you do this, they'll do that. And, everything will come out just fine. No, you can do everything that's in your service plans or everything they're advising you to do. And people still, unfortunately, don't get their children back. It's so many, you know what I'm saying? So that is the mystery of this vicious, corrupt system. So with that being said, Erica, I would like for you to please, go into how this story initiated when your child was removed, like pretty much before we came on air. What is it that when your CPS entered into your life, go to that point, how it's first started and why you're here today?
Okay, so my CPS case really started back in 2015. I was with my son's father. He was doing drugs. I never did. CPS drug tested me. I passed every single flying color there was. I was just with a man that did it. Mm-hmm. And I knew he did it. So I was like, with that knowledge, I never allowed my son to stay with him by himself because I knew that automatically could be grounds for a neglect, Mm-hmm. So I never allowed him to stay alone at home with our son by himself while he was using, because he was using meth. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't. Mm-hmm. So he was on parole, and I'm not 100% sure what happened with the whole parole, but it was initiated. But I have a feeling it was initiated by his parole officer, and the parole officer probably is the one that called CPS originally.
Okay.
And then they came to our house, and then domestic violence was going on. And I had to put my son's father in jail. I did that. Nobody else. I did that. I even went into battered women shelters. I was having issues with a battered women shelter. Somebody at the battered women shelter decided to call the police on me and tried to tell the police that I was trying to kill my baby, which was a flat out lie.
Wow.
When you move from a domestic violence relation into a shelter, I'm going to sit here and tell you it's not easy to adjust to that.
I'm sure.
It's not, because you're having to, and I keep in mind, I had a roommate at the domestic violence. She had 7 kids, 7. Wow. And I only had 1. And while I was in the room with my son trying to put him to sleep, her kids were like all over the place, going in and out and turning lights on and stuff. And keep in mind, I'm trying to put my son who's a baby to sleep.
Right.
Because, a 1-year-old, they need their sleep.
Of course.
And so they called the cops, and the cops came out, and I spoke to them, and I told the cops, I'm not trying to hurt my child. I'm not that type of mom, Right. So the case eventually, the cops left. Well, after they left, I went and talked to the people at the battered woman shelter, and I said, can y'all please move me? It's not working out here with my roommate. And they told me no. And I choose to leave the battered woman shelter.
Wow.
I had nowhere else to go. There's a reason why I chose to leave. It's because I was ready to beat someone up for false accusations, dude.
Of course, that's a major accusation. And I know you're telling the truth, Erica, because I just want to just say this. I recently had a guest who's currently living in a shelter, and she's telling me some of the stories that other children are like bullying her children, and they won't do anything about it. So you're confirmation of what she's going through. So it's continuing.
Yeah. So I left and I went back to my son's father. I called the CPS worker and I told her, look, hey, I want to try to see if we could, me and his dad could work things out. You know, we were on family base. I was seeing a therapist. I was doing parenting. My son's father, he was doing parenting. He has some parenting under his belt. And then eventually we got into an altercation where I had to be in San Antonio and he took off to Dallas, Texas with my child.
Oh my God.
And keep in mind, while this whole thing was going on, even when I left the domestic violence, I filed for child support to the state. So when CPS took my baby, they didn't have me pay child support because I filed for it. You know, it was like what they could have done is said, you know what, this is what they could have done. Mom has custody, dad pays child support. She has full custody. He doesn't have access to the child unless supervision. Mm-hmm. That's all they needed to do. But did they do that? No. They continued to proceed with this CPS case, making it legal where they took my oldest from me and his dad.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I eventually had another baby. They threatened to take my new baby from me. And I'm like, wow, and I told the caseworker, you can't take my new baby from me. They're not from the same dad, different dad.
Mm-hmm. Why would they want to take a new baby?
If a parent has an open CPS case or has had a previous CPS case, then they consider that grounds for a removal. However, the loophole is if it's not with the same, if the parents are not the same, like same mom and dad, if she has a child with a new father, then they don't have that same grounds for removal.
Coincide, yes. I mean,
yeah. So just because she goes out and has a baby with a different person, now they have to allow her to keep that child to see if that relationship and that family unit is better. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Because basically you're saying she's still a good enough parent to be a mom. We just didn't like the person that she was with before. That's why we removed the child.
That's what it is basically.
That's not grounds for removing the child. She exited that toxic relationship.
That is confusion to CPS. Oh my God. Okay. You help me understand now, because I've never heard that before. And I think that's vital for other guests to know that if you have another child, from what you're saying, Jennifer, if I'm understanding correctly,
she's right.
Can come in.
If I were to go out and have another child with either one of the fathers that I previously have children with, they have grounds to come in and take the children. If I go out and have a child with a completely new person, they don't have grounds for removal. Sounds ridiculous, right? That's the law.
I'm sorry. Most of my mouth is open.
And I think the reason why the loophole is there is because it might be the same mom, but different dads. So they can.
The father is more protective than the mother.
That's what I was going to say. So it's not the same.
It's a system that's wildly against women when you start looking at it.
So it's more harsher to women, sounds like. Like you said, they're more lenient with men. Interesting. I'm sorry. Thank you for explaining that.
So after my youngest was born,
wow.
CPS did show up at the hospital. I want it to be known that CPS, when you have a case open, CPS has the right to come to the hospital when the baby is born.
So they was in the hospital.
But they will test the baby. They will test the baby, make sure the baby ain't coming out with drugs, no nothing. But when the caseworker came to the hospital, she said, we're not taking that baby. We're actually allowing you to take it home. What they could have done is they could have taken the baby and said, here, father, you take care of this baby. You file for custody against the mother. They could have done all that.
Wow.
And I know that because he's a father himself to another child that lives out of state, but he's never had any CPS cases on. And that father is still part of my youngest son's life. We have a great relationship there. There is no domestic violence. There's peace. There's quiet. We communicate almost every day on a basis and everything like that. And so, and ever since they've taken my oldest, I've had people calling me CPS and harassing me. My youngest is 6 years old. For 2 years of his life, I have not had a call with CPS talking to me or showing up. All out of the other times, people have called, make false accusations. And here comes Bexar County CPS coming up here. And keep in mind, I grew up in Bexar County. In the back of my mind, y'all know who I am. I grew up in foster care in Bexar County. And I've done my research on my parents. I found out that my mom, my dad was paying child support while I was in foster care.
Wow. And
CPS wants to tell me, oh, we terminated his rights because my dad didn't give up his rights. They voluntarily terminated him. And they involuntarily
themselves.
Yeah, they did it themselves. And I know that. And so with me being a parent, I'm fighting Bexar County, and Bexar County don't like me because now I even have more dirt on the child that they took me away from. My oldest son, he has been abused. He was placed with a relative of mine under permanent managing conservatorship. The judge granted it in the CPS case. So if a judge can grant PMC, obviously they could not terminate my rights.
Right.
And so I have 2 children, one that lives with me, the other one does not. And I have both of my rights to both my kids.
Oh my
And I'm still fighting for my child back. At this time, my child does not want to come home, but I still have visitation with him. I pay child support, even though I know child support is a Title D funding program. I've gone to school for this. Now that's another reason why I'm going to school, to be a paralegal for the state of Texas. And I just got done with doing a family law class, and I passed it with an A.
Nice.
Yay! So awesome. I was nervous during that class. I was nervous because I'm like, dude, I'm going to have to draft divorces. I'm going to have to draft adoption paperwork. I'm going to have to draft all these documents. And I'm like panicking over here because I'm like, I've never done this stuff, but I'm like, you know what? I have to have faith in myself that I can do it. Because if I can do it, I can help so many families one day.
That's why God
is. You already are, Erica.
That's why God is giving you the strength to do it, Erica. Like I say, when I went through my CPS encounter, it wasn't for me. This is bigger than all of us. This is for you to bring others out. That's going to be where you are now. You're going to be out of the system and being a paralegal, helping other families. That's why you're going through it. So you can help these other people.
And the thing with me being a foster care, yes, my oldest is out of my care from an old caseworker. She's not a caseworker with CPS anymore. But I kind of have an idea what county in Texas she lives in. And so one day once I'm a paralegal for the state, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to sue the state for damages.
And you know what?
It should be a class action lawsuit.
I will tell anybody, and again, that's attorney Vince. I'm obviously just a mother that have been a victim of CPS in the past, but again, I don't give out any legal advice. But my personal experience of what I've seen, that I do believe that my rights were terribly violated. And even Attorney Vince asked me, why didn't I pursue? So any person that has been violated, or your rights have been violated, and CPS have mistreated you and your children, I definitely say you need to do what's best for you and file that lawsuit. There's nothing wrong with that. And also, Erica, can you please also share, because I've never had a guest on the show that not only are being a victim of CPS currently that has their children in their custody, but you said that you've also been a foster child in the CPS.
Yeah, I do want to give you a heads up. I do have my own YouTube channel. It's called Mother versus CPS.
Okay.
Let me verify to make sure that's correct.
Well, no, you can go ahead and verify that. But while you're doing that too, Erica, can you give us some of the experience that what it was like living in the foster care system?
Sure. So from what I remember, I was taken away from my parents at 3 years old. Wow. I found out that the reason why I went through the foster care system, and I feel like this is very even true today. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, my parents, they were not married when they conceived me. Mm-hmm. My dad was doing his own thing. My mom was doing her own thing, and they end up, making me, obviously. Right. I found out that my mom wanted me to have, my grandmother and my mom wanted for me to be having they wanted me to not exist, basically. I don't like to say the abortion. I just don't like that. I'm I'm against it. Right. I'm against that to an extent. Okay. And I can tell y'all in a minute about why. Well, I found out that my mom, she relinquished her parental rights as a mother. Okay. And as a mom today, it hurts. Even I'm 34 years old, and I'm a mother now. And I'm like, I love my children. They're a gift that God provided and gave to me. Right. And before I had my youngest, keep in mind, during my CPS case, I was a pregnant woman having 3 jobs during my CPS case. Throughout the whole entire case, I did my services. I was showing up for my visits. I had a car. I had employment. I was living with my dad. CPS didn't like that on my oldest, but they were okay with it with my youngest, which that just doesn't make sense either.
Not a lot of things do don't make sense, Erica.
I've had caseworkers tell me don't ever leave my baby in my dad's care because of the CPS case. And I've also told CPS that's not going to happen. I'm not going to leave my dad knowing he's had CPS on him in the past for whatever reason. I'm not risking my child's life like that.
Of course.
But yeah, I was in foster care from the age 3 and up for 15 years of my life.
Oh my 15 years of your life in foster care.
Yeah. I found my dad when I was 18. I just left a foster home because like when you don't have your parents, it's like you're trying to find out who you're supposed to be in life.
Correct.
I felt like my identity.
Your identity, that's the word. Yes, absolutely.
Identity was taken and stolen from me as a person, as a woman, as a child of God.
Right.
I felt like that was stolen from me. And I never, as a person who grew up in the foster care system, I was never given that chance to talk to my mom or my dad at a certain time frame while I was in the foster care system. They never gave me that chance of having family therapy where I could talk and ask those questions, because obviously every child deserves to know where they came from. Oh, if they're in foster care, they deserve to know why they're in foster care, absolutely. What their parents did wrong, what their parents are trying to do now.
Right.
And as of today, as a mother who's been fighting for, my son's almost 9, I'm having the ability to sit in a family setting, family therapy setting, and I'm going to be able to have these conversations with my son. And I feel like he doesn't call me mom right now. He calls, there's a woman that's involved. He calls her mother, and I just ignore it. I don't let it bother me. And the reason why I don't let it bother me is because he's my son, you know. I love him.
He's your biological son. No
He's
matter
my biological son. And with me knowing that that's my biological child,
what.
you cannot take that biological thing that I created away from me. Really, in reality, you really can't, because he is. I'm sorry, he's here. He does exist. He was not aborted.
Right. Right.
And I don't believe in abortion. I only believe in abortion when it comes to medical reasons. Like, say if the baby's going to end up killing the mother,
Mm-hmm.
then I could see why the mother should have the right to do the whole abortion.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that at times there's women who are rape victims, and I'm okay. Like, I understand that there's these adoption agencies that are out there. It could be a good thing on the adoption agencies, but the adoption agents, there's a line that has to be drawn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Adoption is supposed to be a wonderful thing for a mother and father who cannot take care of that child. Obviously, I understand that a child has to be placed somewhere. But when a mother and father want their children and the state intervenes and takes that away from them to make money off our kids, to sell them as sex slaves, or to get a bonus money for the government, it's uncalled for.
I definitely do agree with that, Jennifer, and I thank you for sharing your story, even you saying that you have unfortunately been a victim to the foster care system. You said you were there for 15 years. It sounds like you didn't get any closure that you should have.
No, and they kept moving me. I remember from like 3 to maybe 3 to I wouldn't say 17, 16. The last placement they moved me was back in 2020.
Wow.
The year 2000, not 20.
I mean,
I was like, oh wait, I'm confused. You got me there. I was like,
it was in 2000. That's when they stopped moving.
And by them moving you different places like that, I've always been curious to know, moving in and out of homes like that, is it just something that abruptly happens? Do they even prepare you for that, living in a foster care as a kid? Or they just, I've heard one lady say that she's a foster mom, but she would just give the children trash bags, you know, which is sad.
It is trash bags. I actually, if you really want to know, I have an Instagram. I follow a guy who he helps foster children with giving backpacks to kids, because back in the day, foster kids were given trash bags. Hey, put your stuff right here, and you gotta go. Whatever don't fit in these trash bags, you gotta leave behind.
Oh my God,
that's horrible.
That is terrible, horrible.
Yes,
and a nightmare. I mean, imagine a kid that's been taken away from their mom and dad, grandparents, whoever loved them, their family. Now you're living in multiple different homes, and you only have a trash bag to use to hop up and back and forth.
My main concern is, how is that I know one thing that they use in family courts is stability. Does a child have stability? How is CPS
living with
how is CPS stability when they have a CPS worker has the right, when they have there's 2 ways someone can have a conservatorship of a child. A CPS worker could have conservatorship of a child, or a foster parent can. And in my case, I had a caseworker. I guess maybe because I didn't have someone that could be the conservatorship. That's probably what I'm thinking. Okay. And so, or I had my grandmother, but I guess she didn't want to do it. I don't know. I do know that my grandma had at age 9, I had the chance to be adopted. I was in the San Antonio's newspaper. My grandma found me in the newspaper, and she contacted CPS and told them, whoa, y'all trying to get her adopted out? No, I want visitation rights.
Praise God.
There was recently, sorry to interrupt, there was recently a post on Facebook that someone posted, and it was a shared child. And it was like, even the person said that they're almost making these children seem like homeless animals. Like, Hook, look, here's a little 9-year-old. He's got a sweet disposition. He needs his forever home. Like, that's what we do. I mean, I love my fur children, but these children are not pets.
They're not pets.
They're not something that should be advertised. Hey, look, here's a little white girl. Do you want this one? Hey, here's a little black. I mean, I'm not trying to be racist, but that's what they do.
No, I know
exactly by their age, their gender, their race. He loves sports. This one loves cookies. You know, this is not, we should not be advertising children.
Correct. Absolutely. That is absolutely.
And it's a public, again, I am wildly against the anti-sexualization of children. I talked about that last time. Like, you don't know when you put these things out who is viewing this child.
That's right.
And if you start doing these tracebacks, and I was listening to another podcast, and they were basically saying that some of the people that the CPS and the foster care system allow to foster and to adopt these children, they have sexual assault and negative backgrounds, and they're letting them get these children.
That's
and not just not putting pictures in the news station and saying forever family homes. You're putting that child more at risk for a foster home to molest them because they don't got parents because y'all took them from them. Or
basically,
that's true. And I just want to piggyback on that and just to implement what you just said, Jennifer. That is true. And I don't want to go too far into my case, but I definitely want to tell you the person that they were trying to take my child away from that had charges of dealing with that. So again, if I didn't, I have to say this is, that's my story, but I thank God again. I never gave up. I kept doing everything that was required of me, the services. I didn't agree with them. I never done drugs in my life. Anybody that has, I don't look down on them. Why? Because it's not my job to judge no one. I just live my life according to the will that God has for me to live on earth. But I will say this, if I hadn't had a skilled attorney that knew CPS laws, they basically was trying to remove my child and place him with someone that had that type of background. And they made like that they wasn't aware of it. So again, oh my God, I cannot stop. When you said that just, I'm sorry, triggered me and took me back to what I went through. So again, like you say, everybody who these foster parents may be, you don't know what type of background they have. You don't know where these kids are being placed. You don't even know if they really even like children. Sometimes people do it just for the money, to get the check. Like we know a lot of CPS is dealing with money, power, and politics. The last guest that we had on this show, they were like the guardians. I'm sorry, what is the word I'm looking for? Where they will take the family when parents are going through CPS cases, they step in as family where the kids can stay with them instead of the foster home.
I was watching.
Okay. So that, like they said, Jennifer, they say, don't turn your head. If you have a family member or friend that's dealing with CPS and you can take that child in to keep them from going into that corrupt foster system, for heaven's sake, God, please step in and help that child. Because you have no idea what life they're going to be living going into that foster system. Erica Thomas is a guest on our show today. And she is saying she went through that foster care for 15 years. And
see, my foster parents, they were Christian people, very Christian, big family. They found me when it was like too late. I was already in my teens, almost graduating high school when they found me.
Wow.
And so I was already messed. It was like too late, you should have got me when I was like a baby, or something like that.
So much. The trauma.
Yes. I've been through so much. So I eventually found my dad, and how I found my dad is I was around 18. I just graduated high school. I had to get some dental work on my teeth. I had to get all my wisdom teeth out, plus 2 other out. And the reason why I had to get two front teeth out, because my two front ones, they were so big, I kid you not. I was made fun of while I was in foster care because my teeth looked like a rabbit.
Don't the government allow you have insurance to get those, your
I
doctor?
did. I eventually I used the funds to get braces, and they pulled my wisdom teeth out. They pulled two other teeth. That's why my teeth are not as big anymore. And I had a very bad major overbite. But then eventually I took the braces off because I didn't like them. They were making sores in my mouth, and I didn't like that. So I was like, I'll just accept my teeth, my face, everything about me the way I am. Because God loves it.
Yes.
If God loves it, I should love it,
That's right.
So
You are. That's right. In your own, be at peace in your own skin. And I thank you for saying that, because you'll be surprised. People that are so insecure by their, we're not going to look the same forever. My grandmother's going to be 106 next month, and she tell me keep living. And you keep living.
What I was going to say about my foster parents is, when I was dealing with my CPS case, I wasn't really on terms with my foster parents. I was talking to them, but not really on great terms.
Can I ask you why?
But they were also dealing with some medical issues. So I felt like it wasn't fair, because I could have told the CPS worker, hey, put my son in this foster home. And I would probably have had a bet by now. I would probably have a great relationship with my son to this very day. I think they probably would have given him back, because they just know that I'm a good mother. Like, I'm not just someone I might mess up. I might make some small mistakes, but who's perfect? But I'm not going to sit here and hurt my kid.
Right.
Well, in your case, I think
my child should not suffer from my mistakes as long as I'm not hurting them. And I feel like the state of Texas is punishing me by keeping my son away from me, because obviously I speak up.
Is parental alienation. That's what they've done.
That's what it sounds like. And
that's what I was just going to say.
That's correct, Jennifer. I agree. That's exactly what it sounds like. And I just want to make sure that I'm understanding you, Erica. So you're saying, since your child, one of your children, because you have one with you, right? Okay. CPS allow you to have one of your children, but your other child is still in the system. And you saying that they still haven't terminated the rights with the child that's in the system. Can I ask you, how long have the child been in the system?
They removed him out of my care in January of 2016, and he was put in a foster care home where I had no clue where my child was, who they were with. And so now he was with a relative of mine. They took him out of foster care. Keep in mind, they removed him from his dad. They removed him from me. They put him in foster care. Now he was with my brother. Now he's not with my brother. Now he's missing out of my brother's care. And someone decided to sue me for my own child. But in this new lawsuit, keep in mind, I'm a mother, and I've gone to court. I have been in 3 different lawsuits over 2 of my kids. I have custody of one of them, and of the other one, they have illegal custody. And I know it's illegal custody because I have custody of one of my kids. I know what custody papers look like. You have to, when it comes to custody paperwork, you have to have the judge, obviously. You have to have my lawyer. You have to have the father's lawyer. And you have to have me, and you have to have the mom and dad. And all parties have to sign.
Okay.
That is a real order. Other than that, it's all illegal.
Okay. And with that being said, Erica, what is the reason of why they're saying they don't want to give you your kid back, give you your child back?
They're trying to now they're trying to say, well, he's been over here this long, blah, blah, blah. We don't think he should be uprooted.
It's over 12 months. If the child is over 12 months, then they say that the foster parent or the placement has the right to intervene or the right to file for adoption. However, there is a new law, and I'm not sure if it's federal law or a state law, but I did speak to one of the attorneys that I had hired, who I well respect. He said there's a new law that if a parent's rights are terminated, and I know this does not specifically apply to Erica, but what Erica and I, we've discussed it before, is that after 2 years of a child has still not been adopted, the new laws that they can be returned to the parent.
They can be returned to the new parent,
but they're not exactly sure how to start implementing this yet. From what
it's not as of yet right now.
So it could one day he could be returned back to my care because I can argue in court he was never adopted. And I can argue the fact that he was never adopted and y'all never was able to terminate my rights, and I've been a parent all this time.
Because to me, that's what I'm trying to understand is, okay, all these years, they never adopted the child out. So basically you still have rights to the child, but they won't have the child.
They don't want me to have the child, but I still have rights to the child. And they just recently and right in front of my face, I kid you not, and I'm going to tell everybody on here because they changed his name right in front of my face. I don't think they can change his name on the birth certificate because he's not adopted, but through the courts, his name was changed right in front of my face.
How can they change his name, Eric, when he hasn't been adopted?
The judge did that to punish me because I'm speaking up. It was like a punishment. It's not a punishment for the child, obviously, and not just that. The child wanted the worst part of it all. The child wanted his name changed.
Yeah, because he's manipulated. It's parental alienation. They twist his mind.
Yeah, that's what it sounds.
They changed his name at 2 years old. They were calling him different names. So by this whole entire time, I was calling him by his real name, the name that I gave him, and then they were calling him by a different name. So he's been known by 2 different names.
This is so,
and that's still not okay.
It's corrupt. It's corrupt and it's evil. Like when you start listening to Erica get into more and more details, and we've started like picking through other cases and researching some other laws and stuff. I mean, and looking at our own discoveries and our own motions and orders, how many times our children's names were misspelled, at the start, at the removal hearing, they would not let the father of my youngest 2 children and I have the same attorney. So we hired my attorney. They gave both fathers the same attorney, court-appointed attorney, even though both fathers, they were opposing.
This is very personal.
It's illegal. The stuff they do, like changing names, illegal.
Honestly, this second case that's going on, that I got sued for the second time on my oldest, it is public knowledge. It is public record. There is a YouTube video that is out there. It does have about 800 and something views. So I know people are watching it. And now I can't even it's a good thing that we're not saying the person that has my son's name on here, because I can't even disclose that right now because of the court system.
But I've seen Erica's court paperwork and all the stuff they've done wrong, and like they're trying to say, what was it, Erica, that you were in court on a day? They tried like writing dates and times and not having signatures and things. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what judges. Not all judges are bad.
There was one document that was trying. Okay, so like when you want custody of a child, you have to be at every court hearing, right? From what I know.
This is the one.
And on this paperwork that I have, they were trying to say that the woman that was suing me wasn't at court, and I'm thinking to myself, y'all are committing a crime here by doing that. Perjury. And I brought it to the lawyer's attention, and she was trying to sit here and tell me that was a mistake. I hope it's a mistake y'all try to fix, because that's y'all are you're an attorney and you're committing perjury.
Oh my God. So at this point in time, is this where you would have to, I guess, file a lawsuit, right? Regarding what is taking place?
I have to find out to see if they fixed that error. If they did not, then yeah, I could file a lawsuit for perjury.
Okay, and we have a guest. One of the viewers is asking, Jennifer, what state are you in?
I'm in Bexar County, San Antonio, Texas, with Erica. We're in the same city and state.
Yes, correct.
Where are you from, host?
All in Texas.
Yeah, we're all from Texas.
Yeah, and I think that for viewers that are watching this, I'm glad that y'all are here. I feel like y'all are in the right place because we're all from Texas and all three of us have dealt with CPS. So we know. And my goal as a future paralegal and somebody who wants to help, I'm going to tell you, I don't know everything about the court system yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. Jennifer asked me, was like, you should be an attorney. And I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do the whole attorney thing because I'd be so upset. I'd be down the caseworker's throat every single time. I would be like, no, CPS, y'all don't have grounds to do this or grounds to do that.
Right. I will say this, Erica, with that, what you just said by Attorney Vince, and we're being on this platform. I've heard people ask him, since he has like so many years, 20, 30 years of longer experience as an attorney. They ask, how do you not get affected? Because it could be so emotionally involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Engaged with children wrongfully being uprooted and taken from their parents, and they're living out of trash bags going to and fro. He said, I won't say that you become desensitized, but just imagine that you have to find balance in some kind of way, for your own sanity. I mean, you have to, because this is obviously an epidemic. Like you say, look at all three of us. We all, by the grace of God, I survived it. So I can be here on this platform to tell others that you can survive yours too, by the grace and mercy of God, because that's what got me out of it.
And then when I took my family law class, at the beginning of the class, the professor asked how many students want to go into the field of family law. Did I raise my hand? I said, I did not raise my hand. And I eventually told my professor why I did not raise my hand. I told him, look, I'm someone who grew up in foster care. I'm someone who's trying to be a paralegal for the state because I know how CPS is. Wow. And you know what he said? Good for you. He said, we need more people like you to be in this classroom today.
Erica, you are to me you are a weapon, a well-rounded weapon, because not only do you know personally by them taking your children away, and a lot of things they're taking you through, they hadn't removed your rights, but they changed your child's name. I have never heard that before.
And then people are like, today, for instance, if you were to give me y'all's court papers, I could use your court papers. I would have to black out names, but I could use y'all's court papers to educate people on what a custody order looks like. And I posted that on my social media, and the person that has my son saw that, and she tried to say, you're posting our orders on social media. I said, no, they're blacked out for educational purposes. You can use, and she's threatened to call the cops on me.
I would use any personal. That's why we also say on the show, we refrain from using any personal names or anything of that nature, because we don't want anything to come out of that. But I just want to, again, just say I commend you for being a person that was raised in the foster care system from the age 2 or 3, you said, and you know personally what it's like being inside that corrupt system as a foster kid for 15 years, as well as, and it's so sad, and God bless your heart and your soul.
And for the audience that really wants to know more, on my YouTube channel, a few years ago.
To that, Erica, just 1 second. We are going to get to that because we're actually getting ready to wrap up shortly. So much information you are bringing to the world of what CPS is doing and how they are harming these families and don't want to return these children. I want to ask you, Erica, from your own personal experience, by you being a child that was raised in the foster care system, also now you're dealing with your own child that's in the foster care system, and you're now going to school to be a paralegal. With all this plethora of knowledge and experience, what can you share to our listening audience today? What can you tell them to stay encouraged and motivated with fighting for their children with CPS?
Hold on to hope and pray every single day. Exercise your rights, know your rights, read on your rights. If you really want to go to school and educate yourself on your rights. Absolutely. To this very day, I got right here in Bexar County, I kid you not, they are scared. You know why they scared? Because they know that they're, for one, I grew up in foster care. So every child who grew up in foster care, the state of Texas has to pay for their schooling. So guess what? They have paid over maybe $12,000 right now. They're paying for my school to do this because they know they are eventually going to, everything they've done it's gonna backfire on them.
She's good. I told you she's good.
If it comes to this point where if in a couple of years, if I turn rich and I'm not a paralegal anymore, y'all will know why. They have to pay me a whole bunch of damages.
Fight them. They're paying to empower you to fight them. I love
yes. Yeah. And so now they don't want to mess with me. And I do have a YouTube channel. It's
awesome.
Mothers versus CPS, or Mom versus CPS, or Mom versus Texas CPS 1 and 2. And I do have a few videos on there. I have one video on how to record a CPS investigator to stop them from investigating. I kid you not. It's worked.
I definitely believe you from everything you sharing with me today. Trust me. And that's what I want to tell you as well with our listening audience. How are there other ways that they can get in contact with you, even if they want to just give you support or ask questions for their own selves?
Well, viewers can either contact me through Jennifer. They can go onto my YouTube channel, which is Mom versus Texas CPS. You can also go onto my Facebook, type Erica Thomas. You can find me on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, but I don't really do stuff on TikTok. Maybe I think that's probably going to be my next platform that I try to use. But I also do want to, before this video does end, I do have a video on my YouTube account. Okay. A few years ago, I met a girl that grew up in foster care, and she had some other people that did too. So we got together. It's like a 2-hour visit, and we talked. It's called because I was trying to expose what really goes on in foster care, because a lot of parents don't know that information either. Right. And there are some people in this world, they're like, what is CPS?
Right.
Yeah.
I thought my foster mom told me she didn't know what CPS was before she met me. She was like, what is CPS? So some people don't even know what CPS is.
They don't. They really don't. That's why I love that this platform was created, because again, transparency transforms. Knowledge is power. And I must share this. I'm not saying that all CPS caseworkers are bad, because I actually, doing my encounter, I actually know someone personally that was a positive light in so much darkness. We used to have, and I shared that before, we used to have that conversation. I would ask her, how can you work for a company or government and you know that they're taking kids away wrongfully, and these families are just in distraught, they're broken behind it? And she said, well, somebody has to be light in darkness. And I do know her personally, like nearly over 10 years now, and she works in a ministry. And I do know, so I want to just share that. I'm not saying all CPS caseworkers are bad, because that's not true. I personally know some have two experiences. Yeah, that they are trying to do the right thing. They do have integrity. I'm speaking for the ones that don't have integrity, that are intentionally being biased. They are intentionally trying to destroy lives just so they can get an incentive, a bonus, things of that nature. I'm speaking to the bad apples in the bunch. That's who I'm speaking to. So, and that's what needs to be corrected, so these people need to be called out, and let people know what they're doing that's wrong and that's ruining these families. So again, Jennifer and Erica, you both are so much strength and knowledge and wisdom. I thank God for you, that you're taking your experience and taking it to the next level by helping people be more exposed to who CPS really are. And so they can be prepared and be aware, God forbid, if they ever have to have a case, if they're not having one already, they know how to handle that case. They know what to expect. They know the truth, because a lot of things they tell you, you think it's true, but
no, they tell you a lot of lies, a
lot of deceit. Absolutely. A lot of lies.
And another thing that I wanted to give out now, since back then during my CPS case, the laws have changed. Obviously, laws are always changing, so that's why it's good to read up on them and stuff like that. Yes. But now, when a CPS worker comes to your door, if you want to talk to them, you can. But make sure you have them on camera. Make sure it's recorded, and they're gonna start recording you too. I've noticed that.
Yes.
I wouldn't talk to them without an attorney present.
Yeah, I know Jennifer says she wouldn't talk. I wouldn't either personally.
If they showed up at my door, 911, you've got 5 seconds to leave. I'm calling the attorney and the police. Goodbye.
Right. From my understanding, I thought they have to have a warrant in order to come in your house. But again, I'm no attorney. So I'm just a lady that has experience, that went through CPS. And by the grace and mercy of God, I'm on the other side now, having people like you to encourage, to help people so they don't have to go where I once was.
Yeah.
So ladies, again,
My next question is for you. I would like
thank
to.
you, Bree, girl. She said, you guys give hope, stay strong. I know that's
He's good.
I would like to host with other people. I don't know if that's possible. If you can make that happen, I would like to be someone who's on the show and host other people to share their stories, because I feel like I could possibly advocate for them in some type of way. Yes, I'm not an attorney. I'm just learning the laws, so I can at least try to guide them in the right direction. So if there's any way I can help be a host on this show, that would be very appreciated.
Well, your voice has been heard. We do know that people are watching, and definitely if that's something that can come about, we do have your information, and Attorney Vince is the one that make those decisions. So with that being said, and since we're really pushing for time, I want to get out as much as we can. Jennifer, I'm going to also allow you, is there anything that you would like to share with your story or to give even more encouragement?
There's so much. The more that I've started going back through it, it just gets more and more twisted. So I'm still want everyone to stay wildly involved and educating themselves about what's going on in the Supreme Court with the Indian Child Welfare Act, because as much as I'm fighting for my children, I'm fighting for other people's children, and I'm especially fighting extremely hard for what is going on with the tribes and how they violate especially little Native children. So please, and then if you want to support me and you need to reach me through Erica, then please, I don't put my private information on there. South Texas Contractors and Roofing has a website. And, if you want to support us, we work. So we'll do any minor.
And I'm a college student, so if I don't respond right away, it's because I'm busy, but I will get back to you as fast as I can.
But yes, please make yourself wildly aware of ICWA.
Okay, and Jennifer, can you give out your contact information one more time?
Oh, South Texas Contractors and Roofing. Jennifer, JENNIFER at TXCustomRoofs with an S.com.
Okay,
and just we're praying for a reverse and render from the Fourth Court of Appeals. We're praying that Erica's son is able to return home safely to her, and that we're able to help as many children get through the system and get back home to parents as we can. Absolutely. And that attorneys that are currently involved in the cases that Erica and I are helping women with following the law, that their lawyers step up to bat and actually do the right thing, that their judges actually do the right thing and look towards.
And sadly, these attorneys, they know what they're doing, but they also know that CPS is I had an attorney on this new case, and he told me that CPS is a child trafficking ring. And to this very day, I wish I had that recorded from that attorney, because that would have been exposed to the world. And guess what? People would not like that I knew that.
Absolutely. Again, ladies, I am so in the trenches.
Which I already knew, obviously, because I've been through the CPS.
Right.
My whole life.
You got so much experience, and I do know that you're going to be a paralegal. I am hoping and believing that God is going to also bring your children back home, Erica and Jennifer. So keep fighting, keep fighting. Right. I assure you that I'm in prayer with you that God is faithful and He's going to see you through. So this is nothing but a test.
Yes, you can't see my crosses, but I have faith, hope, and
love. I know you do. You have to know what you've been through to keep fighting.
You can see my cross. I got a cross right there on the wall.
I see it, Erica. I see it just like I'm looking at you. I tell you what, I just know you. If you have any idea how many people you have blessed today by being so transparent and sharing your stories and information, I pray God will continue to strengthen you both and protect your children with guardian angels until they return back home. So I will be in touch with you, Jennifer, and Erica as well. Your request was made known. And again, like I say, you just never know what can happen out of this. So just stay positive and watch and see how God will turn it around for you. So y'all have a blessed weekend and stay encouraged. And your stories is really going to make a difference in so many lives. God bless you.
Okay, thank you. Have a blessed day, and thank you for your platform.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. But we have actually over time today. I'm sorry, there was so much information that was going forth. I just was so captivated in the stories that I heard today. And I pray that it has been something that will keep you motivated, encouraged, and inspired. Don't you never, ever give up on your kids. Keep fighting for your children until they are returned home. Just know God is faithful and there is nothing too hard that God can't do. I hope you have a blessed weekend. Thank you again for watching our show. I am your host, Latrika Jones, and have a blessed weekend.